morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 26th edition of the Dawn Patrol. With us this morning, we're waiting for our host to arrive, City Councilor Sean Mcdonough. We have our usual cast of characters here, my good friend Bob Hoey, former school committee man, Cisco Maldonado, a good friend here, well, he's not new anymore, he's been here a while helping us out at the show.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm back after a 2-week hiatus, my wife having some hip replacement surgery. Yeah, she did good. So a lot going on. City Hall. I mean, Sean's probably gonna have a lot to talk about when he gets here with the this last week's City Council meeting.
Big firefighter meetup thing.
Yeah, last week was quite. I saw the city manager's. There he is. There's the city. There's the.
Here's our host now.
Here's the future mayor Lowell.
Let's not forget, today's going to be a beautiful day.
Well, you're the host today.
Yeah.
Have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, get your coffee and we'll get going. I was just talking about
John, I don't think Mcdonough will be in the shot, just so you know.
I'm going to make a white.
No, I know.
What's the
Thank you. I think
I hear you, buddy.
I saw the excuse me, I'm sorry. The city manager's speech last week. That was fiery. Hi, Sean, to say the least, but welcome.
Oh, hello. Sorry I'm late. I hate to be late to my own party, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the host seat. Still not used to it.
Well, you're doing good.
I actually
How are we?
thought the city manager was going to go into raffling stuff. I thought I was attending a fundraiser, and he was going to go 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Give me a high bid. After the spiel.
It hit a point that I know that I think that particular camp is upset with myself and a few other councilors. However, I think that the mayor, who is also usually on the receiving end of that camp should actually give the mayor a good bit of credit for not hitting the gavel at some point during that tirade, because it really. You table a speech, you prevent the firefighters from talking, you make a whole bunch of councilors who voted to table, some of whom I don't think realized that the manager had a speech in his back pocket ready to go. You make them look very bad, right? And then you spend a good chunk of time not just talking about the informational, which was sick time use, but going into, attacks on the firefighter union president. You're going after individual people. I thought it was outside the scope of the informational, but I think I had already made 3 points of order at that point, so I was keeping it to myself.
You know, last Tuesday, before he came in here, I caught it on TV, the firemen, something quick about the firemen. I don't watch much of that fake news. I usually watch Fox. But I thought the city manager, what I seen on TV and what I don't read the paper, but what I got my information, where I got my information from, I thought the city manager kicked butt. For this reason, his speech to me went right after the fire department, and I like to use the word ballsy. Okay?
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was I personally, I think the speech, whether I agree or disagree with whether it was necessarily appropriate or if it was 100% accurate, right? I think the speech itself was well made.
Sean,
written.
let me finish, and
Sorry.
you know you're a special ed teacher. If you interrupt someone that's bipolar or has ADHD,
we
he's
can
going to
trade.
forget.
You can take the.
He's
I'm
going to
going to
forget.
move over. I don't want to
Excuse
get
me.
beat.
No, excuse me. For just a
As
second.
John would say, one at a time.
See, the strongest union in the city is the fire department, like the union I was in. We were the strongest. That's why they closed down Concord Prison. Why? Because we were too strong. They couldn't even get us in uniform. The fire department, on the other hand, in Lowell, is powerful. They got family members and grandmothers, and they're all related. And when you go after them a little bit, and I think it was the fire department's fault, but I don't know everything. The city manager, though, what he left in the taxpayers' ear was, listen, every department's going to have cuts, and we're not leaving the fire department out of that. That's what I got out of the city manager. I thought it was a tremendous week, and look at John already raising his hand.
boy.
because we're talking about the city manager. Go ahead, I'm done.
Bobby, let me take my crap off my face here.
Oh boy.
My crap out.
You are so full of baloney, Bobby.
Why?
You're one of the reasons the manager can't sit down because you're kissing his butt.
I'm not kissing
The
his
city
butt.
manager exposed what he should have discovered 1 year ago, 2 year ago, 3 year ago. And he went like, they're abusing overtime. If they are, why did you look the other way since you got here?
Well,
Okay, Mr. Manager? Why? And
I can answer that. I can answer
Then I
that.
have
Oh.
a question for the city council.
Please
when you're
answer.
done.
Please answer that, Robert.
Yeah, well, I think every department, police department, fire department, prison guards, any type of job like that are short-handed. I know I used to be out in the yard, a recreational yard.
No, Bobby.
Well, listen, let me finish. They need. My friends are making $200,000 and $300,000.
Bobby, you're going down the wrong set of railroad tracks.
Okay, all right.
When has this been going on since last week?
It's been going on for a couple of years. You're right. Overtime. It's called overtime.
Okay.
And then you get sick time. Match those together. You got to put those two together. And then you have IAs, people
So
out of.
who negotiated this contract? Mr. Golden?
I agree with John.
Mr.
And the-
Golden? And he's
Yeah.
been missing these rip-offs. If in fact what he said is true, he's been missing these rip-offs for years. And
But-
the city council were like, oh, that's fantastic, Mr. Manager.
And it's
Foolish.
hard. And it's hard because look, his cousin made the motion to table the thing earlier in the meeting, right? So it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
hard. It's very hard to say, "Oh, what a great speech, Mr. Manager! You really nailed it. You knew exactly what you were talking about." When you took the thing and you took the motion, you took the vote and put it on the table, which effectively prevents every single one of the firefighters who showed up to speak that night from speaking. So we only got the one side. We got one side. And then we complain in the speech, and we complain for weeks, for the better part of a week now, about social media posts and little social media campaigns, and then you use the chamber to launch into a one-sided attack, which again, it was well made. The speech was well made, but if it was that well made and could stand on its own, why did we silence the firefighters union?
That speech, was he reading it from
Yes.
paper?
Yes, I don't know if you could tell it on
It was
how face
prepared.
Boys,
yeah.
this is my new symbol for the manager. The Texas sidestep hat. This is the manager's hat. When he puts his hat on, he's giving you a lot of baloney, and that's what he gave us last Tuesday night.
I also think that you have a really just you have what looks from the outside here as a broken relationship between this administration and at least that union. I mean they don't seem to be able. There seems to be a breakdown in trust, a something.
Fire department?
Yeah.
Oh, they just, to me, who can I say? Dan Rourke. The fire department's basically in his back pocket. He's owned them for the past few years, and I mean that in a good way, meaning he can get them to
Oh, he-
vote for him.
He did.
Yeah,
He was
he
the guy
had them.
on a note of the Salvation Army. He was the one that started that boot drive with the Salvation Army with the firefighters.
Yeah.
It was Dan's idea, and he organized it with the
Became
fire
very
department.
popular with the fire
But now,
department.
Sean, do you know the question? You know, he said has every department been affected? I mean, has every department had a layoff?
No.
Meaning from the top department right down to the custodial department?
The vast majority of no.
Okay.
And someone's gonna try and take issue with me saying no, but no.
And the second part of that, I see I guess they've got Joanne in their back pocket now because she joined their side, it seemed, on that vote, right?
No, so I think actually, so
Alright,
talking
good.
without breaking open meeting law, talking to a couple of councilors who voted to table after it and being like, "What are we doing?" It truly doesn't sound like. I don't know that the vote to table had the same votes that. I don't think voting to table means all of those councilors would have voted no on the transfer if it was there
okay.
for a real vote. And I think there was a little bit of a game going on with partial information is what I think. But I'm curious to see because they don't have the transfer, right? So the manager, the administration asks for the transfer.
Okay.
They ask for the transfer because presumably that account is going to bonk. When that account bonks, we're having brownouts. When they run out of overtime money, we cannot pay for something that we have not appropriated. And I don't know if people thought there was more money in the account than there is. I don't know if I am wrong about how little money is in the account. I sent an email over to the
Where was
auditor.
the
I'm hoping to
budget
find
master
out.
that didn't give them enough money to begin with?
They are over.
Last year.
Yeah.
Why didn't the budget master give them enough money last year?
What was it, 4 million, John? I think it's 4 million.
It's gonna with the transfer to wind up
don't
being
know.
about $4 million.
No, but I'm saying this is an old problem. It's like maintenance of your buildings in Lowell, okay? It's an issue that goes on for 50 years and no one wants to touch it. Like maintenance of effort, same thing. With the fire department, they're just someone that's always on top of what they need, and I don't blame them.
We also
I don't blame the fire department at all.
With the fire department, they are also. I think there's only 2 departments, and I think it's fire and water. Are 2 of the only departments that anytime somebody's out, you're paying overtime. Or in the case of water, we were paying contractors because we have minimum staffing. One, we have minimum staffing, and 2, just in terms of outside of the city of Lowell policy on safe staffing on fire trucks, you need the target is 4, the minimum is 3. You go below 3, you can't run the truck. You have somebody from Parks is out. We're not necessarily putting overtime in to get that guy's shift that he's out covered. Even the police department, sometimes maybe we're down a car, right? But if you're out 2 firefighters, you can't fill a truck. So now you need to put the overtime out and get the truck staff. So every sick day is getting billed as overtime. I'm not saying there's not. I am not excusing the level of overtime. We're at the end of the fiscal year and we need to pay it. The time to negotiate sick leave policy is in contract negotiations.
I just want to bring this to light. This business of saying, we're going to cut every department. Okay. As a citizen, the most important thing to me as a citizen is when I turn that faucet on, the water's coming out. So don't cut the water department. If we happen to light my building on fire, the fire department's going to show up and put the fire out. So I want water, I want firemen, and if me and Bobby Hoey get into a fist fight, I want the cops to show up and stop the fight. Now, why we need DPD fully staffed, why we need the 2nd and 3rd floors of City Hall staff with administration, why we need a legal department that they just lose. Why don't we just get rid of those departments? Get rid of the losing legal department and hire Morgan & Morgan or a firm that's a winner to win our battles. We're giving away the senior center in secret squirrel meetings. Shh, don't. I don't talk to any city councilor about the senior center secret squirrel meetings because I don't want to know. But my guess is the manager's giving away the farm. And now, lastly, let's just ignore the fact that this guy's let the budget for the school go, what, 50 million over? Genius manager. He's got to go.
Now, do you know, Sean, if he continuously said in his speech about his doors open, have they gone to the door? Meaning the fire department, he kept saying.
Met a couple of times, yeah. And this
the
recently,
last week.
yeah.
The last week. But he said, my door's open, let's work this out. So you don't think in the last week nothing's happened?
I'm sure they've met.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm sure they've met. I don't.
We'll know tonight.
All right,
Yeah.
Cisco, go ahead, buddy.
They
I want to hear
definitely
what
talked at
you.
the end of the
Good,
meeting.
buddy.
So my thing is, I agree with John, it's a lack of management. First of all, this contract was negotiated by the present manager, okay? If you're negotiating contracts which 24-hour work schedule, to be honest, is not a very good schedule for anyone. No one can really sustain 24 hours for a long term without burnout, without breaks, without being sick. There is obviously a number of firemen that are sick. that has to be accounted for when you're negotiating contracts. Also, I understand the whole department's shorthanded by 13 firemen, is it? That also has to take into account. When you have those numbers and you're not managing that department to keep up the agreement that you agreed to, you have a problem. This didn't happen overnight. This has been going on for years, That's a 3-year contract, probably towards the end of the contract, I'm not sure. But, I really think they got to go back to the table. They got to work things out, and they have to come to a contract that is sustainable based on the number of employees that are in that labor union. That's my 2 cents. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. It's poor management.
Sean, just so I know what I'm talking about, this basically was over $4 million in overtime, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now that I know that, I thought the fight between the city manager and the fire department would have been a lot worse. But just think of this. If you took away the overtime of policemen doing potholes, and I know what they'll tell you, oh yeah, the electric company pays that bill. Well, we still pay it, no matter which way you look at it. But if we ever went out, and I don't ever want to go after the cops overtime, they deserve it. But if we ever touch that, you'd have a beef on your hands then.
Tell me why we need the DPD. Tell me
Right.
why we need a losing. Would you not fire the lawyer that continues to lose? And Cisco, it's your week to read.
I'm glad you made it big. Good morning, Mr. Mcdonough, producer, was on point last week when he said, why all of a sudden now? He's been at the driving seat for a little while. I agree with you, John, on that. The manager's cousin almost fell out of his seat clapping for the manager. I agree there, too. Oh, Mr. Sean Mcdonough could have made a motion to take it off the table after he explained that he wanted to be heard from the other side.
I agree. I'm still, though, fairly confident that motion to table was out of order, which is why I didn't make a motion to take it off the table, because as far as I'm concerned, that motion never should have been on the table. And if we had for some reason, the parliamentary questions went to the solicitor, who is not our parliamentarian, it's the clerk, and I didn't get a great answer. My position at that meeting was that the motion should not even be on the table, so we shouldn't need a motion to take it off the table, because the motion to put it on the table was out of order. So I was trying to get that addressed at the meeting, and I just kept digging down that hole, and I don't think that a motion to take that from the table would have really done anything. I think it would have stayed on the table, which is why I was going after trying to say you couldn't put it on the table in the first place.
Well, I looked at the budget a little bit, and a few things that bothered me, and correct me if I'm right, because I was never good with
Bobby,
the
aim
budget.
the microphone at your mouth.
We had Jerry Nutter that would give all the questions when the last 2 years I did on the school committee. He knew more about maintenance of effort than anybody. But when I see raises, pay raises, Connor Baldwin, someone that everybody loves, did he get about a $70,000 raise? Is that
Over
true?
the last 3 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of raises.
Over the last 3 years.
And he does a nice job. But
But this year with
wow.
layoffs, he is in line for about an $8,000 raise. The police chief's in line for, I think, about a $15,000 raise. I got a list. There's a
Holy
good
cow.
number of them. So you got layoffs across the board, but we
So there's still giving raises out. even
Tommy,
though
you
there's
need a
gonna be layoffs.
microphone.
I'm sorry. There's still going to be raises with layoffs. I never.
I asked, and
Holy
Councilor
cow.
and Councilor Robinson asked on the floor several weeks ago about pay freezes on ordinance employees at the top, and we were kind of just dismissed. That's insane to ask. So they said we're going to stop the 2% COLA increase, but in 2023 they gave the manager the authority to just put people wherever he pleases on a salary grid. So okay, you don't get your 2%, but we can skip you up 3 steps, skip you up 2 steps, give you a performance bump. There's a lot of discretionary there's a lot of discretion on ordinance employees' salaries. And by ordinance employees, I don't mean the guy making $50,000. I think we laid that guy off. I'm talking about the managers and assistant managers, not city manager, the department heads, assistant department heads, etc. It's a lot of discretion.
So, Sean, I'm going to ask something for you to look into and probably move on a motion. I look at our city. Our city has a lot of jobs. A lot of the jobs don't. Maybe they do, but I know at the police department, there's no metric. There's no job performance evaluations. It's time for that to change in the city. And the reason I think it's been like that for years, we talked about nepotism and giving jobs to our friends. Guess what? If you don't have a metric or you don't have a way to measure the performance of an employee, then you can no one can ever challenge you that was not the employee to lay off or that was not the right employee to fire, because there's no way to prove that. Is there a way that they could stop, negotiating stuff? I know it's a labor issue and it has to be negotiated, but at some point we have to have some way to measure the employees in the city.
Credit where credit is due. I think several weeks ago now, Councilor Liang put in a phenomenal motion, especially in light of this budget. And I think the same group within the city that got very upset at that motion are now the biggest cheerleaders for this iteration of the budget. In Councilor Liang's motion several weeks ago, I'm talking about when he had asked for a report on. It wound up becoming just a demographic report, but what he had put in, what he was really looking for, was who's related to who, not with specifics, but how many employees and at what level had somebody in city government before they got the job, and obviously that got defeated on the floor. Actually, it didn't get defeated on the floor. It got amended to try and get it through, and then the same people still voted against it. So I think it's time to bring that back. Since it didn't get voted down, we can put it in again.
You think you'll tell the truth?
It's really hard not to when the information is a public record, and if you think it's not true, you can put in your own public records request and verify, because then it's not just it'll just take 8 months to get the response, right?
Frankly, it's short-circuited by those folks that do work for local government, city, be it on the school side or the city hall side, who are department heads who are shacking up with someone who works for City Hall. And they're not related.
Right.
So how do they answer your question?
That's a good question.
And
It was a
that's-
start. I'm not saying it was a magic bullet. I'm saying it was a
So
start.
people with traditional relationships, married, get penalized, while the people who shack up, living in sin, by the way, get away with it.
I think the intent behind, and it was Councilor Liang's motion, not mine, but my understanding was the intent was to start looking, and it was more looking at all of the people's children, I think, than it was necessarily looking at.
Well, I'm the king of nepotism, okay? I hire many of the people who work for me are my
I
relatives.
would imagine.
So
Well, that's not
I don't
right.
have a problem with, because I can yell at my relatives in a different fashion than yelling at a stranger.
Right, but I also think the business is different than government on that respect. I think you want to run your business, run it however you want. You want to only hire people with the last name Mcdonough, and they're your Mcdonough clan,
but I
not
mean,
mine.
You have people who work for the water department. They know their stuff.
Right.
They're going to make their kid push excellence out the door. I don't have a problem with nepotism as long as I'm getting excellence out the door.
We might disagree on that. That's okay.
I agree with Sean in that sense that government is a little different. It's a different way of running business. Unfortunately, when your mission statements are inclusiveness, a representation of the community, and you don't have that, then why you put out a mission statement?
Well, and I think if they're qualified for the job, and that's, I guess, all I'm saying is I have a hard time believing that the only people that are ever qualified for these jobs are the ones who are related to people. But I also think, Cisco, to your question, one option that we have available on the police and fire side, at least, would be to look at putting civil service back at the top. You know, we don't have a police chief. We have a police superintendent. We took it off civil service. We had the big drag out fight with the firefighters was over the creation of this assistant chief position outside of the civil service. You put those positions back on the civil service, I don't know.
I agree with you. They
Well, they
became political appointed
They become
jobs.
political. Right.
That's the reason and they negotiated those positions out by offering money. Okay, at the end of the day, managers wanted control of these head departments at the cost of the citizens on fairness, because guess what? You're giving money away for a position or to employees to get something which you really can't afford. Obviously, that's what's come down to right now. We've given so much money to control those top positions in these departments that, guess what? Now we can't afford it.
Now, am I correct in saying they did eliminate a deputy superintendent's position in these layoffs?
They were retiring.
Oh,
They
no.
what?
They're not filling it.
Then
Oh, okay.
let me just go to that, because
Oh, yeah,
that
that-
drives me
I-
crazy.
you
Guys,
had
you're
to take
talking
you off.
about the police department with the 3 deputies. Guess
Right, who-
what? That position was always filled by 1 deputy. All of a sudden, there was some backdoor deal to make the new present chief, the chief that didn't have the experience, have a deputy that was also lined up to be chief, and that was the only way that job was going to be filled.
So there was no way. There's
No. So they paid someone, a 3-year contract so that he can have a nice bump in his pension on the way out, so they can have the right chief. And that, just do the numbers.
So, well, one of the things I did, I don't want to speak directly to personnel at the police department, but one of the things that I did in looking at the budget is I pulled the list of fiscal year 26 retirees and then compared that with the existing budget. And there are a whole number of positions that look like they're coded as reductions and not attrition or vacancy in the budget, but the position retired. So really, it was vacant. Like nobody lost their job for that reduction, which is how reduction is used everywhere else in the budget. Mm-hmm. The police department has quite a few of those, either already vacant or I believe only one person. And I got to look again before tonight's meeting, but I think only one person lost their job at the police department. And I'm not saying make it more. I'm just saying I think when we talk about there was this huge reduction, yes, but the employees who are now former employees, that's a smaller number than the reduced workforce number. And it hits a lot harder because if you're retired and get your pension, I don't think you're necessarily upset that nobody's backfilling your job versus, hey, you're not getting your paycheck next week.
Hey, Sean, by the way, you didn't show up here last week. It was not a good show. I'm sorry. But when you're here,
And I wasn't here either.
Oh,
It was a
boy.
terrible-
listen. But when you're here, you make this show a lot better. And I appreciate you coming in here
Yeah.
because it's not easy to be answering all our questions. But I want to turn to something good, Tom, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay? Friday night, I went out to see my grandson graduate from the After Dark program, and I spent a half hour with the superintendent out there. Very nice woman.
Yep, she's retiring.
Her last day will be December 31st.
Yep.
But I was so impressed with that place. I haven't been out there in a long time. And I don't remember going. I went to the school my freshman year. That was downtown Lowell.
Yeah.
But it started off, the Cisco kid was greeting me going in there. My wife goes, "That's him?" I goes, "Yeah, that's him." We'll try to get him as a DJ for a family party. But yeah, it's just amazing the help that they have, how good the place looks.
And you never hear any complaints about the place, so
No,
the
real
management
nice.
of the place, or
There was a school committee meeting too, Tom, I think.
and our good friend Fred Barr, who's on that committee out there too.
Right.
Ooh.
But I seen Lee get you, and you helped me earlier because I couldn't think
Matt
of his
Sheehan.
Matt Sheehan.
Yeah.
He's a friend of Kevin O'Brien's
Yeah.
that I worked with. But a great school. They're so fortunate to have it. And people think it's going to change because it went to lottery. Well, the one thing it's going to change is they're going to be able to take some people that deserve to be there. I'm sorry. I know I deserve to be there. Why? They let me go from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade to the 5th grade when I couldn't read. And we're still doing it. It's, you talk about an issue. The public schools, that's their issue. Now, we could say special ed, we don't have enough tutors coming in because we only give them $40 an hour. We should be giving them 50 like we give the cops to watch a pothole. I'm just saying, you want to bring some laughter to this show. And Sean, do me a favor and don't change one thing about yourself so far.
That's right, you're doing great. You're doing great.
really
I'm going to
good.
tell you this, guys.
I gotta stop laughing.
In the second hour, we're going to talk about the 24 departments we have in the city of Lowell. And why are they all being treated equally? You tell me that the cultural affairs special
They got
events
hammered.
is more important than the police?
They got hammered. I will say that.
You telling me recreation is more important than the police? You telling me the senior center is more important than the police? We'll be talking about this in the second hour when actually Lowell's watching TV.
Well, I would have something to say about every department too, so.
I do too.
I'm
I would have brought my
looking
budget
forward.
book in.
There's 24 departments,
Yeah.
but they all got to be treated equally. No, they don't.
What's the total number of people laid off, Sean? Do you know? Just a rough number.
I know.
30?
About 30.
All right.
36.
And every
firefighters,
department
yeah.
every department had a hit?
No.
No, that's right, okay. That's what I'm saying, like
Well,
the city
which
manager's
ones
department.
didn't?
So the city has all those departments, but then DPW is broken out into more than I care to remember off the top of my head. That's why I write things down.
Sean, real quick, is the school budget equal to the city budget?
No.
No?
What do you mean?
Are we spending as much in the schools as we spend on our city?
No.
No, schools are a lot more money.
Well, and it said,
lot
the
more-
school
about
budget's
a
part
lot
of the city
more.
budget. We just
I
can't tell them
think
how to
A
spend
lot
it.
more employees.
I thought their budget was around 270-something million,
Right.
the schools, right?
We spend a lot of money. Yeah, their payroll's high, but we spend a lot of money, John. But no, so like within DPW, so one, the facilities department, which has been vacant since it was established, is still budgeted for $156,000 for a director position that's vacant, 2 maintenance techs, and a $60,000 overtime budget. This is my favorite one because there's nobody there.
And
There's
they
never
still
been
fund it, and
there's
they-
never been anybody there. We're laying people off across the city. I got 150 in a salary for a director,
Wow.
plus 60 grand in overtime, and there's nobody in the department, but we didn't touch it. Okay. We're telling people to go home. We're telling people you can't come to work anymore. We got over $210,000 sitting in an empty department. So that way, when we have financial problems later, we can go to the free cash piggy bank and pull it out. But, someone's going to tell me I don't understand municipal finance, but I can understand that game.
So-
I put money in my pocket and I say I'm going to spend it, and then I don't spend it, so I have extra money when I overspend.
Yeah, and that's poor budgeting because you're supposed to budget exactly the amount of money
There's always
that
gonna be
you're
a
going to
cushion.
spend. And yeah, there should be a buffer there for emergencies, but that should be a line item says if a pipe breaks, the money will come from here. If overtime happens to come because we have a disaster, the money comes from this line.
The school committee has shown no intention of moving any quicker on this joint facilities
I
department.
thought they were terrible.
But we got 210 set aside in the budget, right? In addition to the 210 under the sustainability department within DPW, there's another $130-something thousand and there's a person in the job. Maybe we'll find out what he does. But they're the Lowell High School facilities director, and they're a city side employee. The schools have the 2 people plus the custodians, but now we have the LHS facilities person at 130-something. So I got 156 for a facilities plant manager that's vacant in one department with a $60,000 overtime budget. Now I have another person in charge of school facilities, city side, the $130,000 in a different department. 210 plus another 130. I'm at what, 3 something, right? Is that your firefighters
wasn't-
yet? How much more do I need for the firefighters? MIS. I mean, I won't do MIS right now.
So the other thing that I noticed that the mayor brought up was the fact that there's still people on the budget, this current budget, that are already retired.
I have that, yeah.
So I think that number was maybe 10 employees that make 6 figures. Add that up. Is that $1 million?
It's a great idea.
Cisco,
Add a kiosk to City Hall for citizens to pay their bills. Everything else in this country is done automatically. Why not them? I agree. I mean, we're behind on electronics at City Hall. And we saw the phone book size budget from the Councilor Liang. And when you have a budget, you need a forklift to pick it up. It's never good for the citizens. If the manager had any stones, he would be answering the questions we all have.
I'm gonna move to table Jay's text.
What a coward. Jay, I don't know. And maybe the manager will take a cut in pay to keep his family members who are firefighters employed. Maybe, maybe not.
I'm gonna give the manager credit. It would be too easy if he gave himself a raise. He did not take a raise in this budget.
oh, wow.
Thank you. That's the same response I had. I want to be. I was not. This was not. I'm
He's
saying.
making $1,000 a day.
Well, and the police superintendent is in line for it's a very substantial raise.
He's getting $1,000 a day, and
Connor
who
Baldwin's
gave him that
getting a big
$1,000 a day?
raise.
He didn't
City
give it to
Council?
himself.
I didn't.
No.
It wasn't me.
You weren't there. No, you weren't there. I'm just saying, who wouldn't take it? Would you?
No, I don't fault anybody.
And the other thing people don't understand, when you negotiate contracts, guess what? Once you have your votes, you go in with the contract. You don't wait, because at any point, one of those votes can die, literally,
Every single
right?
city council select board thinks they're Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny married when it comes to benefits for their manager. Oh, did you want a fire truck, Mr. Manager? We'll give you a fire truck. Do you want
Exactly.
Do you want members at Vespa Country Club? No problem. We'll take care of that too. Oh, you want to go on a junket every year to the managers meeting about fire trucks? We'll pay for that too. The select board, city councils are crazy about giving away taxpayer money.
So why wouldn't? And my defense
with
of
you,
Golden
Tom.
is, why wouldn't you take it? They're giving it to. Why would you say no?
I agree.
No.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you fully. And then sometimes people say, "Well, why did you
Tommy,
say?"
if the city of Lowell gave me a check for $100,000, I would cash it as quick as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know?
I think in Lowell, and it's not just Lowell, but it's where we all live right now. Well, it's where we all live. I'm not moving anywhere, but I think Cisco's probably moving to Puerto Rico.
has
At some point, he's going to have to change his address.
No, I'm going to tell you
I'm
a story,
really
Sean.
close. It's cold out here.
This is one of the stories I was going to talk about in my Drake years. About 20 years ago, I'm going to say, when I was working for the town, we were in very serious financial trouble. And the town manager at the time was Dennis Peendak. And Dennis Peendak came up with I thought was a fantastic idea. He gave us, I think it was a 15-day furlough, meaning you went 15 days without pay.
I asked about this.
And he made it. He called me in the office. He said, "Tom, blah blah blah." I said, "Dennis, you're not laying me off." Absolutely, I'll take a 15-day. And it made it. It wasn't all at once. He made it through the year, like attractive for employees. Has the city explored this? Because I mean, and would they? Do you think? And the unions, I'll never forget. The unions went along with it. There was because they didn't want to see people losing their jobs, and nobody lost their jobs. We did another thing that wasn't popular with the manager. They closed the library for 6 months. And unfortunately, but it saved money. Has this been explored? Is this?
I don't know. I asked, and I think Councilor Robinson also had asked about furloughs, and I don't know that we ever really got a satisfactory answer.
See?
We just got that we're doing a 2%. We're going to have the unions hold 2%, which is, okay. But no, I actually had the idea. A really good friend of mine taught in Hawaii for a long time, for several years before she moved back to Massachusetts to teach, and they had severe budget cuts, and they spent I think 2 years having what they called furlough Fridays, which was, I think she said, every other Friday was an unpaid long weekend. Yeah. And by doing that, they saved, I forget how much money it wound up being, but they managed to keep all of their schools open. They had to go to school, however it worked out. They hit, because they never have snow days, so they hit their time, their minimum time, and then just weren't paying you on Friday if you got the day off. And She was like, I'm not complaining. I had the money to buy groceries and pay rent. I got a long weekend
Exactly.
every other week in
Maybe you
Hawaii,
should-
and I don't know what the problem was.
Maybe you and Corey should move this, try to fight for this, see what's going, because it did work in Drake, and it did. It saved us a lot of money, and nobody lost their jobs.
But I still think you got to look at that budget. Like you have pointed out, some deficiencies in the budget on line items that shouldn't be there. So I think if you go through that budget and find stuff like that, you could probably find the money to keep the six on employees. And also, it's time to do some better management of this city. It's time to get some better contracts, realistic contracts. And I agree with you. It's time to probably put those positions in top back into civil service where they're not appointed by the manager or someone that's close to him, where he's never going to hold them to the level where you have to earn your keep. You have to earn on your job by good management of a department. So that way we're not where we're at now.
Right, you're never going to get rid of patronage, and it's just not unique to law. You're never going to get rid of patronage politics, especially anywhere, especially in municipal government. I don't even want the suggestion of that at the police or the fire department, though, right? And we have an option in place that some other communities are still using, and the reason, civil service in Cisco, I'm sure you know this, right? You're the police union guy. The civil service emerged as a way to do these jobs because of the patronage networks. It's the same reason there's licensing tests for teachers, because of patronage networks. Mm-hmm. And so I don't even think you need to have a massive, huge problem that everyone wants to point at to go to civil service. I think it's probably best practice. Maybe there's an argument against it. I'm sure it's been made.
There's some
I'm happy to
issues
listen
with
to
it.
I know there are.
There's some issues with it.
I know there are. I think it's worth talking about. That's all. I think it's worth the discussion.
I agree. And one of the big factors to me is, are you a resident of Lowell? I know we can't do that, but we should be able to.
Wait, we can't do it. Some communities do it. Boston does.
Well, I hope.
Okay.
I hope
Huge fight with the
someday.
firefighters.
I hope someday, like when I was on the school committee, more than half of the custodians didn't live in Lowell. That drove me crazy.
So
101 of them, right?
It's going to be hard to get that cat back in the bag.
Well, I think you also have, sorry, quickly on that. The bad blood, right? You have the firefighters. My understanding here, and I've got the documents, so someone can tell me I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong in the reading, is this administration wanted to create an assistant chief position. The firefighters union grieved the creation because it wasn't bargained. And their contract says you can't create new administrative positions without bargaining. Administration says, I do what I want, and they create it, union files a grievance. In response to that grievance, the city, speaking of residency requirements, the city said, well, we're going to change how we calculate the residency requirement for the fire department, because there is a residency requirement for the fire department, not in the city of Lowell. I think it's within 25 miles of a fire station, or however they have it phrased like that. And they use one set of documents to determine that. Well, the contract doesn't say how they have to determine the 25 miles. It just says the 25 miles. So in response to the grievance, which would have been ruled in the favor of the union, in response to that grievance, the administration came back and said, well, we're going to change how we find out if you live within 25 miles of a fire station. And here's the list of firefighters who are going to lose their job when we change how we measure it. I think it was over 20. Or you're going to drop the grievance on our job creation program here for an assistant chief position. It's about 3 years ago. And the relationship, and so the union dropped their grievance on the chief. The administration didn't change how they measure residency. This is the Cliff Notes version. Yeah. However, I don't think anyone can seriously look at me and tell me that relationship has ever recovered from the creation of that assistant chief position in the game that was played behind that. So when you look and you say, well, why is morale low? Why are they out sick so much? Why is there a game? How come they can't sit at the table and negotiate? Why is there a breakdown of trust? I think we know the answer.
What, hostile environment maybe?
I think
that's part of life.
Yeah,
when you're a cop or a fireman or a prison guard, it's the manager comes in and wants to fire everybody.
Right.
Everybody.
And we were talking, you were just talking about residency, and I was told this story the other day to somebody. When I started for the town of Drake in 1980, I walked in the town hall. Every single person in that town hall lived in the town. If you went to the town hall today, there might be 4 people that live in town.
So-
simply because, like, they hired a new town clerk. There was a girl in-house that didn't want it, lived it, but she didn't want it. So they went. He lives in Watertown. They hired. The police chief lives in New Hampshire. I mean,
Tom,
it's not right.
Tom,
It's,
You and I are the same age, okay? It's
Yeah.
called affirmative action.
Yep.
That's what created it all.
Yep.
And now it's an equal playing field, and
Yep.
it should be.
Yep.
So what I look at as a taxpayer is like, and the thing that we don't bring out a lot are these pensions that come with these jobs. Government jobs are very good because of the pension. And with these raises that we're giving and saying we're trying to make these comparable to the business side or the corporate world is wrong, because corporate world does not give the goose egg when you retire, and you retire early. And as a citizen, if I'm going to pay for a pension for someone 20 years after they retire, guess what? I want that money to be someone who's living in my community, someone who stays there and spends that money. I don't see how we've got to these numbers with these employees for the city and say they're comparable to what's out there. We're not considering the expense of these pensions, unless you're planning to get rid of the pensions.
Well, I'd like to make sure we'll make sure I never win another election. I think, the pension system, and I don't even know how much of this is a city issue, on the liability versus state issue on pension reform. I do think that with salaries ballooning at the top, both school side and city side, and both of the school pensions are also a state pension system, I do think that at some point we need to look and say, okay, is there just like Social Security, not as low as Social Security, but is there a point at which, okay, over X many dollars, you shouldn't even go into the pension. Like you shouldn't isn't pension eligible, right? Because you work your whole career at even $125,000 is where you max out on your I'm not a super leader, right? I don't have assistant manager in front of me. I'm not a superintendent. I'm not an assistant superintendent. Up to 150, 160. You get the title bump. Now you're making 260, 275, 300. That's your pension's on the 300.
Yeah, your last 3 years.
And you're making enough money. People in the private sector who make $300,000 are putting 11% of that or more off into, especially at the end of their career. They're dumping that money into their retirement savings. But we don't have to save for retirement. Someone's going to tell me, well, you should open a 403B anyway. But you don't have to. It's a defined benefit path. I know I'm going to make 80% of my highest 3-year salary. Mm-hmm. So you have, a $275,000 public sector job is more spending money than a $275,000 private sector job.
Is it correct? I would say I'm correct when I say there's certain jobs like a paraprofessional or a cook in our kitchens in our schools probably get half of what an illegal alien can get on Social Security in this country. We're giving away money, and some of those Social Security payments are higher than people that worked and had a pension. Not all pensions are going 80% over 100,000.
No.
I know that. I'm just saying, most of the majority of pensions are below 3,000, right about 3,000, and that's a small pension.
I know that I've had the thought. I know many people I've worked with have done it. I know a whole slew of state reps that have done it too. I don't fault anyone. It's the game. The last 3 to 5 years of your employment, you want to rack up as much money as you can because those are the only years that wind up mattering. So I know I've had administrators, and some of them were good administrators, some of them were not. But they're 55, right? They're 55 years old.
Yeah.
And they're going to replace the last person who went in at 55 or 57 years old. And they're going to spend the last 3 years of their career running the department for an extra 50, 60,000. It's relatively small beans compared to something like a city manager or superintendent of schools, but they're going to spend the last couple of years of their career hitting the money making whatever, and that's their pension, regardless of how many years they paid in before. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the base pay would have to get raised, right? For
Right.
them to get the 80% of
Correct.
that.
Right.
Okay.
But that's what you do. You spend your last 3 years in a supervisory role so that you get a base pay, a significant base pay bump, not necessarily because, you always wanted to be a manager, but because that's going to get you the biggest bang for your buck on the pension.
You always wanted your high 3 years. That's what you
Right.
want, because that's.
So are we approaching a cap on which employees should get a pension or not? Maybe
No, we're
that's a
nowhere near.
question.
No one's talking about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not, I'm saying you want to move into management, you want salaries that are comparable to the civilian side of that title. Guess what? Maybe you should have a pension that's on a 401k and not the state pension,
And I get, yeah.
That's why the city will never go bankrupt. If the city of Lowell goes bankrupt, Cisco, your pension's gone.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
no.
It's not just reduced, it's gone.
Well, John, and
And
that's
that's why
why
we
I
have
have a
to
backup
watch.
plan, you know what I mean?
We have to watch the city's budget because it's not an endless pit. And the manager does not live within his means. And it's just something that the city council refuses to rein him in on because he's the job commander. He can get your job at UMass. He can get your job at Middlesex. He can get your job here and there. The fact that the guy can get you a job, that's why the city council is back off. It's all about jobs.
We only have 8 minutes, and I'd love to throw this in there. Don't you remember Dr. Kafawi, correct? How they got rid of him. You have a bad budget. Can you imagine that? They got him on a bad budget. It was a tremendous time to be in politics. I mean, they got rid of that man for other reasons because he talked about the maintenance of effort. He started all this. City manager at the time, good guy, Kevin Murphy, right? Everybody loves him. Kevin Murphy, well, he was the city manager. He was the city manager at the time. And once Kafawi pointed at the maintenance of effort, because he said something to me, and that was it. I opened my mouth. Steve Gendron helped out. Bob Gignac helped out. This city council has touched the maintenance of effort. It's the first time. I've just heard conversations, and I'm really impressed by that.
I think I was going to say something. Maintenance of effort. Oh, yeah. Budget's out of control. Maintenance of effort. They overlap on this one. So MIS, what most cities would call the tech department, we call Management Information Systems because it's still 1968 in the city of Lowell. Their budget is up $1.1 million over the last 3 years. I want to say $700,000 into the general fund this year, 500 something in salaries this year. What's notable there is that 44.33% of MIS's operating budget, which, as I just said, is going to be up 1.1 over the last 3 years, 44.33% of that is chargeable to maintenance of effort and net school spending, even though the school department, I've asked repeatedly, doesn't use MIS's stuff. They have their own tech budget, just like police and just like fire, because the police department, the fire department, and the school department all prefer their own tech people over whatever work that the manager's MIS department is doing for an increase of $1.1 million. So we're spending all this money at MIS, then we're also spending on the police department's software and computers, we're spending on the fire department's software and computers, we're spending on the school department's software and computers. We turn around and we charge almost half of MIS's operating to the school's net school spending account, which means they're down in cash 44.33% of 1.1 more than they were 3 years ago.
Sean, do me a favor. Look right out at the TV when
Okay.
you're saying anything
I know.
to the taxpayer. No, they love it. I'm telling
Okay.
you, you're doing a great job.
It's Bob, because it was your point, so it's like I feel like I have to talk
No,
to you. So.
I'd rather have you looking at that TV.
I think in the 5 minutes, and it won't take 5 minutes. If you look back, and I know the radio host Jerry Nutter has been going on this crusade of now is not the time to say I told you so. Well, I think if not now, then when is the time to say I told you so? And I wasn't on the council, so I'm not saying I told you so. However, to the councilors who over the last 3 years, have been hammering on ARPA created, ARPA job, where does this go when ARPA runs out? And we were told, the city was told repeatedly, the general fund will be able to absorb the hit. All this growth is coming. The general fund can absorb the hit. Well, the deputy position is at Deputy Chief Information Officer was one of the most recently created ARPA spots over at MIS. There are, I think, about 7 of them, though, in this budget. That was 2 years ago. It's 140-something thousand, no, more than that. We're laying off 36 employees. We're laying off 30-plus employees. The taxpayer is getting almost 5% hit. And the general fund did not absorb it. I mean, if you're telling me if that's the general fund absorbing some of these ARPA positions, I would hate to see what it would look like if we couldn't absorb the positions. A 4.6-something% rate increase in addition to your trash going up, your water and recycling going up, and 30-plus city employees, many of them longer-time employees, losing their jobs, but we're keeping these new ARPA people. So I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna go to break pretty
Okay.
soon, so I wanna get this text. I'm gonna answer this text. I'll bet LTC will cut this show this afternoon. Let me help you understand. The first hour is never on in Lowell. We're only on the internet in Tewksbury and Drake. Those are the only places we're on the first hour. The second hour will be on in Lowell, and
We're on Facebook too, the first hour, right?
we're on Facebook
Yeah.
the first hour.
Why would
where everybody
LTC cut us?
I don't. It's just a text from the audience. So we're
We'll
going to go
be
to
back.
break.
Yeah.
How much time we got?
We got a little bit, if you don't mind. I want to ask
ahead.
him one last thing.
You got 2 minutes.
Sean, I followed the schools more than I followed the city council, but I followed it, half of it, on the city side. I felt bad for the mayor when it came to running the school side, believe me. How did the mayor do on the city side of things? In your opinion, that's all.
I think he's doing a pretty good job. We're going to find out tonight at the budget hearing. I don't know that we have not had a meeting as contentious. I don't think we've had a meeting with public comment as contentious on the city side yet, as he saw school side during their budget hearings. You know, you had high school kids standing up. You
Yeah,
had
it was
teachers,
crazy.
parents. I mean, it was, and that's what happens. You have budget hearings, and I do think in the last 20 seconds, and I'll say it again. I think the mayor did a good job running the school committee budget. I think the school committee did a great job in actually holding budget hearings and actually going through and looking at the budget. I think part of the reason we're in the problem we're in right now is because for the past couple of years, the council has just kind of stamped the budget. Boom, next, boom, next. And I think I'm nervous that I'm nervous that the council is going to do that again tonight, and I really hope I'm wrong. Now is not the time to just rubber stamp a budget and say, oh, well, maybe we'll get a supplemental that fixes something. Oh, well, maybe we owe it a 4.6% rate increase in addition to all the other fee increases and the layoffs. We owe it to the city. We owe it to the people who live here to actually review the budget.
Is it going to go line by line?
I'll settle for department by department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is somebody going to bring that motion in, or will that
Yeah.
happen, or will it be just one of those, like you said, the rubber stamp? And I got to give the mayor, I know we went 30 seconds to the mayor last week. I watched him, and he was asking the city solicitor a question, and he says, don't give me that smug look or something along those lines.
Wipe
I
that
loved
smirk
it. I
on
loved
his
it.
face. Yeah.
We're going to be back. Thanks.
Her husband would kill her if she became the city manager.
Oh, I'm in the
Another one,
host. Right. Hello. It's always weird when I have to sit in the host seat. It's me, Sean Mcdonough. I'm on the city council, and I guess I host this show sometimes in the morning. I am here with Register of Deeds, Karen Cassella, Tom Bomil, Bob Hoey, and Cisco Maldonado. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't like hosting. I'm going to be honest. There's always anarchy when I host because I don't host.
I can
What are
help.
you gonna do? What are you
I
gonna
can
do when
help
you're the
you.
mayor? What are you gonna do when
No.
you're the mayor someday?
No.
I can help you to get started, though. We spent a lot of time talking about firemen and the police department and the budget, right? Here we go with our new person coming on the show, Karen Cassella. What do you think about budgets? You think they're hard to do?
Oh, yeah,
'Cause
they're definitely hard to do. I mean, I'm given, ours is about 1.3, so I have to allocate money just to make sure. What if someone retires on a whim that we didn't expect? Their payout comes out of my budget. I can't ask anybody else for that money. So we always have to make sure we know what our salaries are, what we have for office supplies, spending. So, oh no, I keep a good
You
eye
say
on
you
it.
say if somebody retires, right?
Mhm.
But do they have to let, like when I worked for the town, I had to let the town manager know within a certain period of time so that he knew that was going to be budgeted, my buyout or whatever it was. You have to do the same thing with your in the state.
Well, we hope to, but it doesn't happen that way.
Oh, okay. Well, see,
So
we're
what
required to
happens
do it.
is, you know, something happens in someone's life and all of a sudden they just say, I'm retiring next month.
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
if I don't
Sometimes
have
it's-
that money budgeted, how am I going to do their payout if they've been there 35 years and they have 12 weeks vacate? Like, you could be talking $50,000 extra. So I have to make sure I have some type of, you know,
Free cash?
that's still sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, no one understands how small of a union you are. How many members in your union now? 10?
Yep.
Yeah, 10, right? So I've been
10.
keeping up with it. So when you,
And to be
when,
quite honest, they
Yeah.
don't even have a union right now.
all right, do you,
Really?
when you first started,
Mhm.
I know there was probably less work to do. I'm not sure, but how many employees did you have at one time?
Originally,
Yeah.
36.
36. So
That's
you-
back when you were hired. Back.
Yeah.
Wow.
you're down to 10. Almost feels like I was talking about understaffing.
Right.
People don't understand that until you're working in a job, whatever job
Exactly.
you have. But
Right.
And it goes back to budgeting, because if
Yeah.
you're understaffed and you have family illness, you have early retirement or other emergencies, now when you need a department that needs 10 people running, that every day, 8 hours, those 10
Right.
people, and now you're short 2 people, yes, that's an emergency for that business,
But her-
or for that department.
But her victory brought something to her. There's no more favoritism, people from the outside, like a senator or a state rep, getting a job for somebody. That has stopped since she's been
Right.
elected.
No, it's been
Is that why
great,
she's down
yeah.
to 10 employees?
And I agree with Sean in that fact that funding that comes with those extra jobs are connected at the State House. Unfortunately, that's the game. You know what I mean?
I gotta admit, being on this show, we're usually leaning toward the right. But since Sean and you've been here, we're starting to lean back to the left. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
I didn't know you were a lefty, Ed.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna watch.
Progressive. The word is progressive.
I didn't know you were
Yeah.
progressive. Wow.
I'm gonna have to watch tonight's city council meeting. Just to hear what goes on. It should be a good meeting, I would think.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it will.
I would say I'm more reform than I am anything right now, right? It's a cleanup act, and it's not unique to the city or this administration. I think that municipal government, like all government, but especially municipal government, is really slow to change, and there are the same patronage networks that we spent the first hour talking about. There wasn't a big flash in the sky one day and they didn't all poof and go away. So, and that's not to say necessarily that everyone's bad at a job or shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, but I don't think it's good government, right? That's not how you do good government. People can make all the arguments they want about, oh, well, I know my friend this and they'll work hard, fine.
But the DPW,
They'll
the
get the
Parks Department, those two I can look at and say, those are departments over the years that people that are elected got that job for somebody.
When the city's not your family business, and this is how I should have put it to my not uncle, right? The city's not your family business. The city's not your family business. The city is not, cousin Joe, he means well. We'll put him in part. Like that, that's not what the government's for. That's all. I'm not saying he shouldn't have a job. I'm not saying if he's qualified, you shouldn't get it. You shouldn't be excluded from a job because you know somebody, but you also shouldn't go to the top of the list because you do know somebody. That's all.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a big person, but if you're working for the city and there's a promotion and you're qualified to do that job, you should get.
You should get the job.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, you should get the job.
Yeah.
We should also be
Because I've
promoted
seen it
from
happen
within.
with people.
But how
should also be
about
promoted
the
from within.
fact, how detrimental is it to a department when you have people who've worked for the city for many, many years, are qualified, like Tom says, and then all of a sudden, that job that they worked so hard for, trained so hard, trained under the person that had the job, isn't given it a fair opportunity to get that job, and it probably is the best candidate and doesn't get the job. That's detrimental to that department. I'm sorry to say, but guess what? That's going to take all those employees are going to say, yeah, why should I work hard? Why should I learn this? Why should I step up when I'm not going to have a fair opportunity to get that job down the road? And I'm here waiting my turn, and 15, 20 years come, and sorry.
But how does that work if they're in a union? How do you do that? How do you hire from the outside for a supervisor's position when there's people?
Because
to
the man, we just talked about that earlier. When you take these jobs out of civil service, out of that line.
Cisco, hello?
Yes.
Hello? One at a time, Sean's the host.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. I forgot I was the host. Thank you.
When Cisco's on a roll, though, Sean,
I wasn't interrupting him.
I let him roll.
I sat back. I said, oops, I tried to talk at the same time as Cisco. I'm going to let Cisco go. But if I could, Cisco, before you go,
No, I'm fine.
it's not just the civil service. It's how do you do it with the union? This is something we talked about in the first hour with the fire department specifically, which is you just do it. And then you grab their arm and you crank it and you find a pressure point and you say, drop the grievance, don't do your union business here, or we'll hit you somewhere else, and you make it go away. Or the specific contract might not have language about bargaining new administrative positions. So if you create a new administrative position, or it might not have language, or the language might just suggest that promotion to outside of the unit managerial positions should be considered, but it might not require it. There's a lot of fluff, I think, or not fluff, but
Right.
there's a lot of less firm language that can be done.
We had it done at Town Hall. We had a retirement. Dave Willett retired as the chief health director, whatever you want to call him. They changed the title since I left in. But the girl that worked under Dave they thought was gonna be the next person to take over for there, but then the town decided they wanna change the job description, which means that they changed it so this girl, they didn't do it purposely, but they wanted to go in another direction as far as how they wanted the health department ran. And this girl unfortunately couldn't get the job then. So she's still there as an inspector, but she couldn't get the head job. But that wasn't like something they did, they just wanted to go in another direction.
But she had the years, she had the experience, she knew everything
right.
about it, but
she
they
didn't
just
they wanted to go with more, tweaked it, yeah.
They tweaked
And they
the
probably
position.
and it probably is going to end up in a good way, but it's just what happens is it's not fair in a way. But they
Right.
didn't. The manager wanted to go in another direction. She has that right, and it wasn't anything patronage. It was in fact the person they hired didn't even come from around here.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah, and when I don't think it's not always wrong, right? And I don't mean to say it's always wrong. If you don't promote from within, if you bring someone else, or even if you did know some not related to you, although sometimes you're related to them, even bringing in someone you know, if they're actually qualified for the job, and you can make an argument, this is why, and I know them, and okay, that's different, right? It's not to say that anything is always right or always wrong. It's just that I think we need to look at it and pay attention and make sure that that the decision is made for the right reason, that we don't fall into a pattern of,
As long as it's fair. That's all
As long
you
as it's
want.
fair. That's all I want.
Fair.
I just want fair.
And with fairness comes, you gotta have some kind of job description.
Right.
You have to have minimum requirements, and you have to have a merit system to hold those people accountable for those positions after they get the job.
Well, when I used, back in I would say maybe 10 years ago, they started interviewing at the registry. We never saw there was nothing posted. And I'm on vacation, I get a phone call, because I was in the union, and we just heard that they're interviewing for positions, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, really? That's strange. So we hear about this job someone's getting a job, so I questioned the assistant. I'm like, did you post positions? He said, if you want to know that, you can ask Richard Howe. I said, oh, okay. So I asked Dick. Then he didn't want to discuss it with me. So I called the union. I'm like, what's going on? We're hearing that you're hiring this position. I mean, these were a higher end position. This was a head executive paying like $80,000. And the girl that was working there for 30 years should have had that job. And they had to post it. So, but sneaky
happens.
stuff goes on. I get it. You want to.
Did she end up getting?
She ended up getting it, yes. But again, when they did do the posting, they did tweak it a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and they tweaked it they said that she needed a associate's degree, but she didn't have one. But she had her paralegal. So she ended up, she could grieve it, right? It's ridiculous, though, that you treat a long-term employee that way. That's how I feel.
And that's one of the reasons I've talked about it before, and that's one of the reasons my wife left. My wife would have loved to stay where they were treating her awful.
You can't
You know,
treat
and I don't care who
human
knows that it
life
cares.
like they're not worth anything.
See, I look at it, when you say something like that to me, you were working in a hostile environment. That's what I worked in. And we fought back so hard, they closed that prison down. And now they sent all Concord people throughout the state, which I love. Because we fight for what we want.
Right.
And most of us that have been shipped out to all the other prisons, good luck to you.
I think
They did something really bad in this state, I'm telling you, closing that prison.
when you look just off what you guys were just talking about, how do you do that to a 30-year employee? It's a great question. It's a question that I have asked, I think, for a little while now, because when you look at our budget and when you look at how voluntary separations went out, because they weren't layoffs, and you look at who got hit and who didn't, I would encourage everyone, you can read the name, it's public, you look at the Treasurer's Department, specifically at the Treasurer's Department, because if you would do it there, and this is where I come down on the whole budget, if you do it once, you'll do it 100 times. And if you did something so brazen in that department, what else are we missing? And I looked, I got a list. right? But you at home, you sitting at this table, go look. You have a 26-year employee who'd been in the same position since the year 2000, and you have a politician's spouse who has been there less time. Who do you think got voluntarily separated, Cisco?
Isn't the person that's not connected,
Right,
you know?
right. 26 years. 26 years out the window because you're not married to the right person.
And there's no, this person, he or she has no rights to fight this or anything?
I don't know if they signed the paper or not.
Yeah.
The voluntary
Yeah.
separations, I also don't know that they're enforceable. In looking at our law department's track record, I'm sure they'd lose anyway. But, it costs a lot of money, both as an individual or as a union. In the city, if the unions go after the city for some of these, it's going to cost the city money. It's going to cost the unions money. It's going to cost potentially, individuals money.
That's how they scare you, though.
It's how they scare you.
Yep.
I hope they do pursue it. I do.
Well, you're probably talking a suit here. I mean, probably right down the
Right.
road. Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
lose
if
my
you're
job.
telling me the truth
Yeah.
about that one, that's awful. 26-year employee and some.
It's public. You can look. I mean,
no, I
can show you when the show's off too. I can show you the line.
Yeah.
You had 26-year employee, same exact job title as a more recently hired person, but the wrong last name. There's no way around that.
And
And
how
if
does
you'll do
the
it
ma-
once,
How does
They don't
the
have
manager-
one relative on the council? That's awful.
How does the manager answer that question?
when
How
I
does he-
asked last Tuesday, the solicitor smirked and said,
Oh, he's gotta go.
"What union?" It was the second time that he's giggling about layoffs. I'm sorry. When Bernie Lynch's assistant manager walked around laughing about layoffs,
Oh,
we
yeah.
all know exactly what happened.
What happened?
That
Bye-bye.
guy sits there. Okay, and I'm not calling for anything because that would be illegal. I'm just telling you personally, I find it reprehensible behavior.
Well,
I don't know. You can keep his job as long as he
on the
wants.
Bernie
and,
Lynch,
you
on
know,
the Bernie Lynch thing, it wasn't Bernie Lynch that got rid of the guy. It was Rita Mercia.
right.
Rita Mercia saw this guy laughing, walking down the hallway, handing out pink slips. If this clown thinks it's happy, McMayor, call for his resignation.
Well, they cut
It's
his job
not
out of the
funny.
budget, I believe.
That's what they did. They cut the
They cut his job right out of the
salary
budget.
right out of the budget. He's sitting there smirking. The mayor had asked, we're asking questions about layoffs. People are losing their job. He's sending, and I've seen some of the emails. He's sending emails late at night to these people that are impacted that are just kind of snarky. They're snarky emails late at night. Come on.
But
Come on.
But again, we're going back to the manager allowing this. If your
Correct.
employee was doing it,
There's my
should
problem.
be
I don't
brought
have.
up.
I
Right,
personally,
right,
right.
I find the actions, gross. I got nothing to say about that guy's employment. He works for the manager. But if that's the environment that the manager wants, I got a problem. That's
John,
fine.
he's probably charging overtime for this.
But I asked specifically about the 26-year employee, and I was interrupted for the second or third time by the same counselor. But that's fine. We want to talk about social media posts, but we have no decorum on the floor, so that's fine. None. Zero decorum on the floor, but don't post anything on social media.
I noticed, I said to you off air that Rita joined your side last week in a vote. Is she starting to wane from that?
I have no
support?
idea.
And I was shocked when she joined you.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I asked, I said, is the year, which came first, 2000 or 2013? Right? Obviously, I know the answer to that question. So then how does an employee with the same job title who started in 2000 get voluntarily separated or laid off, but they didn't get laid off, voluntarily separated, and the employee from 2013 keeps their job? And it was, what union?
Can I ask you, these separation letters, has that practice ever been used in the history of government in the city of Lowell?
I'm not sure.
Can we look into that?
I've looked. I don't want to say.
I've never heard of it. I was born here, been here my whole life. I think it's bad practice, and it's scary practice, and it seems like they're asking people to sign off without proper representation. I mean, it's awful when you have a bully come in and take over a situation without giving the other side a fair fight.
Well,
You know what I mean? When you don't give a fair fight, that's a bully.
You
Hey,
can't.
Sean, I
yeah.
got to do some announcements when
Okay.
you're ready. You're gonna go now?
Give me 1 second. I was going to just say that I am not a lawyer. However, you cannot ask union members to sign away their union rights individually. You can't do direct dealing, right? You also can't do it without representation present. And after the announcements, we can hopefully talk just briefly about the injunction with the firefighters, and we can talk about the attitude that is really evident.
And I like due process. I
Yeah.
like that too.
Okay, we're gonna
Announcements.
go to announcements. You guys can make coffee, do whatever you wanna do, be about 2 minutes.
I'm gonna
Okay, amazing, this is the last instant message. Amazing how job postings have evolved around applicants instead of applicants matching job postings.
Can I go, can I just?
Good
Yeah.
point. Okay, so
You
we
killed
had
him.
this golf,
You
what
killed
you
him
got?
again.
Did you knock Wilbur over again? Poor Wilbur.
I think we gotta put Wilbur somewhere else.
Poor Wilbur.
Poor Wilbur when I'm at the end,
Poor
believe
Wilbur.
me.
Okay, we got him in Jamaica, man. He was handcuffed.
All right, that's him.
That's
okay.
Wilbur. Okay, so we got a golf tournament coming up for the Greater Lowell Children's Fund. And so there's a lot of information on here about sponsorships. It's June 15th, plenty of time to sign up for this at the Four Oaks. So take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide, and you're gonna know more about the golf tournament, and we'll be putting this out there every day for a little bit. Okay. If you want an announcement on the show, just send me a text. Easy to do. The courthouse auction, it's gonna be June 10th.
June 10th.
Like it, lump it, whatever. If you are interested in bidding on this thing, you need to be hold in a real rush to this J.J. Manning and company, and their 800 numbers there. So if you're interested in buying becoming one of my neighbors, I'll be happy to listen to you bid on this
definitely
magnificent building.
Tell there's no sugar, but it still tastes really good.
All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Tonight's the night to support your firefighters. Get down to City Hall. Just hang around. If you hear a firefighter shirt, that'd be magnificent. But just go down there in support of the firefighters. These guys and gals, they only want to save your life and save your property. And they only want to keep their jobs. So we need their jobs. So please get down and support the Lowell firefighters tonight at City Hall. And I guess you get there like at 5 o'clock. I don't see a time here. But get it between 5 and 6, you should get down there. Today is the 26th of May. If you get down to the Lowell Senior Center and you are if you're 60 or older, they're going to have lasagna and garlic bread. That's today's treat. John Drinkwater, he's having a party. He's running for state rep. I wish he was running for state senate, but he's running for state rep. And he's going to have a party June 1st, 6 to 9 at the Old Court. And hope to see you down there. What else you got going on here? Oh, the grand opening of the Robert Clemente Baseball League. It's coming up June 6th, Saturday, June 6th. And that's at the North Common Field, Fletcher Street in Lowell at 10 a.m. And that's my last announcement. So back over to you, Sean. And I want to go over the departments when you have a moment.
Thank you. Great announcements. I'm going to just say, though, I personally love the Roberto Clemente and also the fire department. I even have my pin on it. I would never accuse anyone of doing this. However, if you do it, please stop. I hate AI-generated posters. I just hate them. That's just a personal aside. I just don't like it. I would rather see a poorly done, kind of did it myself in PowerPoint or Canva with, flat images than the AI-generated stuff. And maybe you didn't. Maybe you're just very good. That's okay if you did it yourself, but I don't like them. That's all. So I had to say it. I've seen a lot of them
I agree with
recently.
you.
It's not just on this show. I've seen a lot of them recently. I feel like it's really people are learning how to use it, and I don't. They all look very samey, and I just don't like it. Anyway, I know we want to do departments, so.
Okay, so the city of Lowell has 25 departments, according to AI, which Sean doesn't care for, but at any rate, we have 24 departments, and the city manager wants them all treated equally. Well, I'm sorry. Cultural affairs and special events, bye-bye butterfly.
They
Close
got
that
hammered.
Close that department. Just close it. We don't need the boss. They didn't fire the boss, did they?
But they kept the boss. They got rid
Of
of a lot
course,
of workers.
of course, of course.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like a city of little snow shovelers. We keep the superintendent of snow shovels. We fire all the shovelers. That's how we run in the city.
Then they wonder why there's snow on the sidewalks.
The library,
But-
very well used,
Classic.
but it's. Do we have to?
Shoestring budget.
Well, you can say that all you want.
No. I'm telling you.
many
If you look,
employees do you have?
if you look at department by department, if you look at how the budgets have changed in the last 3 years, the library is the only. I'm going to say the only, and someone's going to well actually me, is one of the only departments that has not seen their spending balloon. They have been operating at about the same salaries, about the same operating, about the same throughout.
Okay, veteran services. What's he doing?
Besides a
deny-
third less.
Denying people benefits.
He lost. Well, I don't know if it means he's going to deny them faster or slower, but veterans lost 33% of their staff.
They didn't fire the boss, did they?
No, they kept the boss.
The
They
boss
lost.
is-
They lost the only staff.
The boss is terrible.
They lost the one clerk they had.
But we're going to get rid of a firefighter. What's the boss making a year? Okay, recreation. What's the boss making there?
They got cut $200,000. Less than $100,000, I think. Pete, I don't think he makes $100,000.
The senior center? Did we
They
get rid
lost-
of the boss?
they
Did we get
lost
rid of
the
the boss?
greeter.
Did we get rid of the boss?
No, we lost a 25-year employee who greets people at the door and does all the reception work and makes sure people know where they are. I've heard people I have actually heard since losing that woman at the senior center and not having somebody at the front desk, there are a number of people who walk in confused because they thought they were taking the bus to a doctor's appointment. They got off early, and she used to turn them around and say, "You're not there yet," and now they're just kind of standing around. So I feel bad. She was not a very well-paid employee,
You're
right?
talking about Tara?
Yeah,
That was genius, Mr. Manager.
25
genius.
years. 25 years.
Genius.
How detrimental is that
Health
to the
and Human
seniors?
Services, I have no idea what this is. Probably the health department.
Right.
What are they doing for us?
We finally lost the contract tracer. Public health is an important department.
Yeah, so's the fire department.
Yeah, well,
So-
so one of the cuts in public health that I personally have a problem with, which I can't add to the budget. Someone's already going to be mad at me for saying I don't like the solicitor, but I'm allowed not to like people. I'm not calling for anyone to lose their job. I just don't like the guy. The health and human services is we lost one of the syringe people, so no one else is picking them up. We had 2 people that were going out.
Why are we giving them out?
No, we're not giving them out. We pick them up.
Why are we giving them out?
The city does not give them out.
Well, let's find out who is and penalize them.
I don't disagree with you, but we still got to get them cleaned up.
I understand. Penalize them, have them pay for it.
And
Sean-
do you
Sean,
have enough
okay.
nurses? I don't believe you do.
I don't believe we do.
Yeah.
Sean, why is health and human services, I thought, was like hiring, what, they were at departments together? Like human services,
this-
my department is.
No, the AI overview is tough here, right? Because like, there are a few in the budget. There are a few, these get segmented out slightly more than they do here.
All right,
And so, yeah. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Planning and development. What
Yep.
do they do for us?
political rest home. I remember somebody referred to that as one, yeah.
And then you get
Wacko.
another gigantic one, development services. So why don't we take these?
Well, development services has a lot of the inspectors who we
These-
also reduced.
These 2. I don't want to get inspected, but they'll inspect me. I don't. We
I
pass.
want inspectional services. I
We
want.
pass.
Yeah.
So, why do we need 2 bosses? Let's combine these departments, fire 1 boss.
I think they
Not a lot of
DDS
heavy
might be
lifting.
underneath DP.
Not a lot of heavy lifting. The city outsourced a lot of their inspectional services. They just outsourced it.
I think we have to do more than look at the Google summary. But I think when I looked at planning, and I didn't bring my phone book budget with me.
So you're saying the fire department is less important
No,
than planning and development?
John, I can't.
I'm doing a Cliff. That's
I
what Cliff does
can't
to me.
tell you. I am holding some. Believe it or not, I don't say everything. I say a lot, but I don't say everything. My budget book is marked up with over $1 million in cuts. I know that I would like to see. I know that I have DPD on my list. I know that I got a lot of cuts on my list that I would like to see. Right now, I'm just concerned about making sure we actually review the budget because the council has not done that in years. And I think there's going to be a faction tonight that tries to avoid it as well.
Okay, so moving right along.
Why isn't
Handy
it that if you were hired with the Arbor money and it no longer exists and there isn't anymore, why don't they lose their job
Because we
first?
really want to keep MIS at a huge. You ever seen an overinflated balloon?
MIS, did anybody ever find out,
And
did
are
we
those
pay
jobs-
ransom, or what happened with that fiasco?
I don't know,
Or
but
is
we
that
had a major
still secret?
cyber attack and we kept that guy. I'm not criticizing. I wasn't
It's
here
a-
at the time, but
What happened? Did we pay them, did we get paid?
I don't remember. We bought
Nobody
LifeLock
knows.
for everybody.
Nobody
we
knows.
bought LifeLock.
I ran into someone at Market Basket, and he works for FEMA, and he said he called the city about the grant writing. He said there's so many grants for the fire department that you can write for, and they said they've laid off the
They
grant.
laid off the grant writer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Genius, Tom. Tom,
I said,
That's
oh my
great
God.
management.
you're a genius.
So,
So the parking office, what does the parking office do?
So one, they're an enterprise fund. Two, mostly they write citations on about 4 streets downtown. And the council voted to add, I believe, 2 more enforcement officers years ago with the expectation that enforcement would go out to the neighborhoods. As of now, the parking director still has not used those enforcement officers to go out to the neighborhood. I believe every parking citation has been written in downtown proper.
Well, let's have the
I'd
parking.
like to cut those 2. I'm gonna get voted down. I am gonna put in tonight. I'll let everyone know I'm gonna do it too. And I don't even know if I'll get a second. But I am gonna make a motion to cut 2 of the parking enforcement officers, because if the parking director doesn't want to use them to do what the council told him to do with them, which was do parking enforcement in the neighborhoods, you don't need them.
Well,
All they
Sean,
do
if-
is write tickets for my constituents. All they do is write tickets for me and my constituents downtown.
Sean, if the parking director is operating unwisely, you need to let him go and
We
maybe.
can't do that.
Why can't you?
The manager can
The
do that.
city
Manager's
manager.
appointment.
Yeah, E-plan government.
So you just drop a little hint to the manager, let him go.
I'm gonna get in enough trouble for
But
saying
no,
I don't
but
like
in all,
this.
in all, in all fairness, when you said that about, it's the manager runs the show. but if-
Manager's buddy?
If a motion was made tonight to eliminate the parking office and it passed 11-0, the manager can't do anything about it, right?
Correct. We
You
can
know,
cut
so
whatever
guys
we
still
want.
couldn't- Yeah, okay.
So
So wastewater utility, if you guys are cutting there, what's gonna suffer? Are more
don't-
fish gonna die?
I don't believe we're cutting in wastewater.
Okay, so we're cutting firemen.
Well, wastewater is also, so wastewater and water are both enterprise funds. We're combining them into a combined utility. We're not cutting, your rate's gonna go up. We're voting, there's a vote tonight to increase your water rate 15%.
So wastewater pays for itself?
Right.
With that little bill we get, and water department pays for itself?
Right.
So that doesn't cost us any.
we get pretty good water.
Yeah.
As far as I'm
Public Works,
concerned.
I am thrilled with Public Works. They're doing a great job. The parks look great. The potholes are going away. You gotta really look for a pothole these days. They
Wow,
did a
John,
great job.
John says something
Wow.
positive about the city.
Look at that.
Well,
That's
hey,
good, Johnny.
pat him on the back.
So here's my problem with Public Works, and I'll bring it up tonight. There was a motion weeks and weeks and weeks ago now in the middle of winter looking for the snow. There were a whole slew of them on snow removal. Mine was about pedestrian traffic. There was one on just roads in general. We still don't have, we rejected the motion response. If anyone remembers, it looked like it was written by AI, which I don't like. And we rejected it. We sent it back and said, come back with another one. We still haven't gotten another one. And the budget is looking for the same amount of money on snow removal this year. And I would like to know what the plan is for that money. We asked for the plan months ago,
Law
in
de-
January.
Law department.
No, it looks like you
Outsource.
need a better manager
Outsource.
there.
Hire a company that's gonna win.
How many does the head solicitor, how many assistants are there?
I don't know off the top of my head because they didn't lay off a solicitor.
6?
They laid off a paralegal. There might be 7.
Wow. I remember when there was the city solicitor and
I
just
could
2
look.
assistants.
I write everything. I write everything down because I
Wow.
forget. That's why I write everything down.
Right, there's
We
the,
also
the girl that comes in to record,
right.
she was laid off.
Well, and so on the law department, and I'm not sure, and I'm going to ask the question tonight. So start doing your homework now, I guess. I was looking. I don't know if it's the treasurer or the law department that needs to answer my question, but on the law department city page, there is a list of short titles, the people who owe us property taxes, whatever they call that. And it's $12.5 million is what's owed in people that haven't paid their property tax bill. And it's a who's who. It's a who's who list of Lowell on that
Hey,
list.
don't look at me.
It is a who's who, and it has ballooned since 2023. And I know there was some change in it. However, there's a notable change in 23. $12.5 million in uncollected money.
Where's the Lowell Sun on this? Why don't they publish the names?
They usually do publish once a year. I don't know.
Where it is right now,
What's
but
going
so
on.
I was looking. So like one of them, just for fun, because of who's on the show. This will get me in trouble with my downstairs neighbor. Merrimack Valley Radio, WCAP.
Yeah.
$43,000 on their radio tower up on Topman. They owe the city $43,000. There's more of them. It's a who. I'll send you the list. You can go through. It's a hey, roll the dice on the last names. How much
Send
do
it
they
to
owe?
me. I want to go through that list.
I bet you it's a lot of scumlords.
Okay, so the law
Those
department, you
type-
agree that we could do some, can we outsource the law department?
I think we're a large enough city that we need a law department. I do.
A losing law department?
I don't like that we're a losing law department.
Why do you want to keep these losers?
I think you have to separate the intended function from the current performance.
You need to have champions who work in the law office, not losers.
So I agree with you. The staffing of the law department is up to the city manager. The staffing
right.
of the city manager is up to the city council. I think that the function of the law department is a good one, and that is really all the council can look at, right? Is should we have, not who's in it, should we have a law department? Yes, we should. I can't tell you how to staff the place. I can tell you, I personally, how I feel, but
Okay.
that's just
Well,
me.
Sean, let me just ask you this question, okay? That fire we had on Bridge Street. Let's say, for instance, the firefighters were like, hey, we've been at this for 8 hours. It's time to go home. Would that be acceptable? What would you do with a fire department that just said, you know what? We've been at this for 8 hours. We're going home. We're tired. We'll come back tomorrow. What happens if they just say, it's noontime Friday, we'll see you Tuesday?
Well, that's also some of the overtime that they get. And this is why the fire department overtime number is a hard one to look at, because
The law department goes home every Friday at noontime. And this last weekend, they went home Friday at noontime, and they said, see you on Tuesday.
right.
And the city solicitor I worked with, when I was on the school committee a while ago, was much worse than the department you got now.
Okay.
Wow. Really?
Okay, going to the fire department, what waste do we have over there?
They have a very large computer and software budget, which I'm not necessarily indicating is waste, although the union did. When the fire department and the firefighters union was told, okay, these are all the cuts you're going to need to make, they did propose cuts that would have prevented layoffs, and they were rejected by the administration, and it included cuts in their tech budget. My question on their tech budget is why we're spending over $2 million, spending millions of dollars over at MIS for the city's computers and software. Why do we also have a line item in the fire department, the police department, and on the school side? Why do these departments also have their own software? Like, how is it that we have a centralized computer and software department, and yet we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in line items across the city in computers and software? I don't know what the MIS pool pays for if it's not the software and the computers that the city's using.
Watching these geeks for a lifetime, okay? These geeks, they sit there at an office, and you call my computer's broken. Oh, they put down their book. What department's this? Okay. Bink, bink. Working now? Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, but so
There's
I'm
not
gonna.
a lot of heavy lifting in MIS.
So I'm gonna
That's why they
defend.
that's why they have bulletproof glass on their door, and you can't walk in there because you'll find out they're sleeping on the couch.
I'm gonna defend oh so lightly the computer, the desktop and laptop repair maintenance guy. Okay, because even though it doesn't look like they're ever doing work, and I agree with you, and I've said the same thing. Every school I've ever worked at, I've had a problem with my computer, and I walk in and the guy's reading, and I'm like, I am rushing here to get my computer fixed before I have to go back to class, and children will yell at me, and you're just sitting here in quiet. However, he knows what 3 buttons to hit to make my computer work in 5 minutes, and I have no idea. And so if I have to pay him because he happens to have that inside his head and nobody else can figure it out, so be it. On the repair guy. My issue is with the systems, like the systems administrators, and there's multiple of them. The software budget in general is huge.
Lean
And-
into the mic.
sorry, the software budget itself is huge, and so we have these administrators in this budget at MIS that, again, is up $1.1 million in 3 years, and that should, to my mind, I would like to know what that pays for if our departments, like fire, police, schools, still have hundreds of thousands of dollars in computer spending. That's all.
Okay, so you just want to talk.
What?
You just want to talk about.
I bet you that's the mayor.
Jeff
What?
Wilson.
Hello.
I don't want to get yelled at.
The MIS department, they have one for each.
Okay, hang on a second.
Is it a general for the whole
You have the
city?
Lowell Fire Department? Citizen, okay. Okay, hang on a second. I'm gonna put this guy on speaker. Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
Hey guys, I just wanted to make a comment, just for you to all to think about. The Lowell PD has a digital radio system. I think they put that in a few years ago, and the fire department still has an analog radio system. They're very expensive, of course. So if they're going to have all that money in the budget for the fire department and their computer needs, they need to spend money on a new radio system for the fire department. The other couple weeks ago, they had that large fire that was jumping from building to building. They only have like 2 channels that they work on, and I just monitor it as a resident. They were stepping all over each other. Nobody could even hear anything anybody was saying. Plus, you got other communities coming in, trying to get their messages out, and then, you know, you've got 2 fires. Nobody knows what's going on because they're all stepping on each other. And it's only a matter of time before somebody loses their life because they can't hear a critical message. And the digital radios allow for less of that. I mean, it still happens a little bit on digital. Sometimes you can't get your mic to open or whatever because someone else is talking. But there's a better chance that your message is going to get through. They just step on each other and all you hear is noise. And I think it's dangerous, and I think someone's going to get killed if they don't update that radio system. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate your input. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
You know, you mentioned something.
We're not done with the departments yet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you think Sean, and you think we should get rid of the computers people on both police and fire?
No, I think I need an I have a question on the police and fire computers and how it relates to MIS's computers, and I need that explained to me before I could approve any of those pools of money. I think MIS needs a cut regardless. Actually, I think there's a lot of ARPA jobs over there that have been incorporated, and I don't think that I know that. But on the police and the fire tech line items, I think I need explained to me why that money exists and why it's separate than MIS, and if, like the caller said, if that's for some radio project, if there's a real reason and it's department specific, I'm in, but I need that explained to me.
Human relations, why do we need 2? Why do we need one for the school department, one for the city of Lowell?
They're big departments,
They're
that's
both
for sure.
they're both large departments.
They're
I
big.
think
What do you mean they're big?
They got a lot of help and they got to do a lot of things.
they
You
get
gotta
the
do-
benefits. They get and the school's HR is
Oh, so they're more important than firemen. I understand. Okay.
well. No, hold on. There are there is at least one position in human relations that I don't fully understand why we're paying, and it's about $100,000 a year. So I'm going to ask, hopefully somebody else asks that question tonight. I got a laundry list to go for, so I'm really hoping somebody else will bring that one up. However, the schools and the city, you need an HR department. The biggest problem that the school side has is they can't get anybody hired because even with the current levels of staffing, we don't have enough turnaround time. Like, we're not fast enough where you apply for a job, you get a job, and like when I got my job in Lowell, I sat around and waited because I knew I lived around the corner. I wanted to work there. It's okay. They told me I'm hired. HR told me I'm hired. If I was a little bit younger or a little bit less sure on that I was actually going to get that job, people keep applying, and then they get another job, right? And then Wakefield or whoever, Haverhill, turns around the application faster, and you go, well, I need to get paid in September. Hi, I'm taking another job. It's been 5 weeks. You still haven't gotten back to me. So I do think there's a component of HR that it's easy to say, okay, they're not fighting fires, but if you want to make sure that we have, a staffed school and city, you do need enough people to get that work done. There are still jobs over there that I think could be cut, though.
Finance includes assessors and tax collectors. Now, this list of 40 people who are well-connected in the city of Lowell not paying their taxes, does the tax collector go and visit them, or is he told or is she told to just ignore them?
It's a good question. It's more than 40 people. It's $12.5 million.
How many properties?
I couldn't count. It was like 12 pages.
12 pages of people who don't pay their taxes?
Right.
Imagine how that would help.
What's the
get that
tax
money.
collector doing? Bye-bye tax collector.
From my understanding, we haven't pursued, and I
Why?
guess we have the Register of Deeds here. So, but
A lot of those houses, am I correct? They're basically trashed.
some of them,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
WCAP
but why don't they
radio tower.
foreclose?
That's
They
the
should-
question. We haven't foreclosed.
Right, you
on
should
a
just
house
foreclose, then you can resell it to someone that will rebuild
and recover
it.
the money. We haven't
Yeah.
done that. We've done vacant lots. We haven't gone after. And there are some on that list who, like you had said earlier, like slumlords, right? They own 20 plus properties, and
Yeah.
somehow they owe taxes on all of them.
So
Come
a lot of
on.
people over there not doing their job.
I'll
Right.
print a list.
Maybe we should take the laid off firemen and put them over at the tax collector's office and we'll get some chutzpah out of that office.
Right.
City clerk's office. I understand the city clerk pays for themselves.
So here's my question on the city clerk, and I
Death
asked.
certificates are $25 a piece for a piece of paper now.
Well, so I think we need to revisit that because they still cut somebody. So those prices went up to cover the cost of the office, and then the manager, and so here's a problem I have. Everyone wants to talk about Plan E and the purview and whatever. The clerk works for the council, right?
Right.
Direct hire of the council.
No, but none of his employees. None of
Gray
his
area.
employees. No, absolutely not. They all work for the manager. You only have the clerk and maybe the assistant clerk.
I don't think anyone's ever really asked.
When I investigated,
They
city
do. No.
clerk ran
In practice, you're right. I don't know that is actually how that is supposed to work.
But if the
if we are so
lean into the mic
it says
or drag the mic to you.
it says the manager, the council, blah blah blah, can't interfere or do staffing decisions in the departments within the purview of the city manager. Within the purview of the city manager is a whole line of departments. We just did most of them. What it is not is the clerk, elections, which is underneath the clerk, and the city auditor. That's not the manager's job.
But
That's the auditor and the clerk's job.
But Sean, if is it Mr. Gary? Is he the town?
Yeah.
If he resigned tonight or left or resigned, do you hire the new clerk?
Yes.
That's what I thought. That's right.
And
the
so,
same goes with the auditor.
we evaluate both of those people. So
Right.
if you're telling me that the staffing decisions inside of it, so if the auditor, who's more likely, I guess, the auditing office is more likely to be a pain in a manager's behind than a
Is
clerk.
the auditor included in finance here on this magical list?
It must be because it's an AI list. But if the auditor, as an example, or the clerk, if they were doing something at the direction of the council as part of their job that reports to the council, if they made the manager's life more difficult, the manager's going to turn around and, I mean, I guess they write the budget, they can appropriate all they want. I don't think they can tell you have to let somebody go, but they zero out they don't appropriate money to the office, right? That didn't happen this year. But if they didn't appropriate the money and said, well, we're the manager's fighting the auditor, they don't get a budget this year, that would be a problem, right?
I want to back up to the city clerk's office. The city clerk's office pays for itself with all the paper they sell out the door
Correct.
every day. So it's just screwing the users of the city clerk's office. You're going to have to wait in line for your paperwork because the manager doesn't care for this.
And-
they shouldn't have any, if they're paying for themselves. It's like the water department. We're not cutting anybody over there because it's self-paid. The city clerk pays for himself.
But we want more, the city wants to take more of the money, right? Why else would you do it? They do pay for themselves. So,
Well,
but,
the city
but it's
is
not an
greedy.
enterprise fund. The city can take all the money they want. So you cut someone, and now they bring in all this extra money, and the city's going to get the money, right? My question is the staffing decision
taxpayer.
should have been made by Mike.
Screw the taxpayer. Okay, the city manager's office, how many people work there?
2 less,
Two less.
maybe more than 2 less. I don't know where special events.
Well, does he have
reports, but-
24 in the office? How many
No,
people?
he has, so you have the manager, the executive assistant, and assistant 2. He has 2 assistants. So you have manager, executive assistant to the manager, assistant to the manager, assistant city manager.
What's the difference between assistant manager and assistant to the manager?
That's Ask Michael Scott.
Wow, that's a good one.
Salary, salary.
Yeah.
Salary, yeah.
So there's nobody sitting at the door answering the phone?
I think we're keeping one person out front. They laid off the neighborhood person. My question on the neighborhood person is,
How about the tobacco? We still have a tobacco person?
I don't know. That's why I write everything down.
Okay,
I
sorry
don't
to
believe
interrupt
so.
you.
I write it all down so I don't forget.
You're still a recycling person.
Yes.
Okay, so so I'm all done with the departments. Anybody have any parting
Yeah,
words?
I just he said a few things. You worried about getting a second. I seen in one budget, I forget if it was the last year's budget, that Eric Gitcher couldn't get a second on a line item that was his pay that he can't get.
Right.
Couldn't even get a second on that. I don't think that's gonna happen to you, and I think line item by line item, I think the mayor would be for that.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, so.
I don't know if there's 6 councilors that would be, but there's
No,
a level of discretion that the mayor has in running the meeting that would.
Yeah.
There's some. Let me say, after the last meeting, I have made myself a cheat. If we're gonna do procedural games, I made myself a cheat sheet, which I guess I should. I didn't think I was gonna need. So all my procedural games, right, and how to procedurally combat procedural games, I now have on a nice little piece of paper, so that when we do silly things, I'm ready to go. Because we don't have a parliamentarian. so.
Can I ask you one thing on Councilor? On one of the things I would like to see someday on a city council meeting would be how the rules are set so that when you go to watch a council meeting as a citizen, there'd be maybe a little booklet that will give you a little information so that you're more informed of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think the more educated we are, the better it is for everyone.
I know
when he
that.
talks about this book, like that means like the Robert's Rules. Is
Oh
that
yeah, all 1,200 pages.
You
of it.
get one of those books probably when you got into office.
They
right?
actually gave us a crappy little cheat sheet book.
Okay.
It's like the abridged version. So I have the real version. I went through. I did the
Sure.
I read the real version. I read really fast, so I skimmed that this weekend. I read it.
I
all
read
my relevant,
the book.
all,
It's
all my
awful.
relevant sections. No, you go. Okay, I don't need this one next. Like you have to read it like you're writing a research paper. So I went through. I got what I need. I put it all on a piece of paper, so I have my own cheat card.
Now, let
we
me-
have
Yeah.
4 minutes to go.
So-
on
Let me-
before Karen
I feel
has
bad.
a chance
That's
to
all right.
talk.
No. So, when you say the MIS department, does every single office have their own MIS
No.
employee, or it's one general?
It's one. That's why I'm confused about police, fire, and I guess schools. But we don't have schools. We have a centralized MIS department,
Yeah.
but then some departments, but not all departments, have their own computer and software budget. So that's where my question
Okay.
is how come this one has it, that one doesn't?
On the school side, let's not forget that Karen Cassella took away Artie Santos. That didn't help us.
It did not. It helped me.
you, but it didn't help us.
Yes, Artie's great. Well, I'm just asking that because with the registry, when I first started, we had our own MIS department. And then as time went on and cuts were made and less employees were with the office, we now have a general MIS department, which is in Boston. So if we have any computer problems, Artie will contact the help desk. We call it the help desk, and they're on it right away. And they'll, send people to our office. But that cut is out of our budget now. And plus, with unions, right, and step increases and the 2% and all the money that was given out, it kind of was absorbed.
Hey, I got to barge in here for a second.
Sure.
Linda Bound's going to be the host tomorrow. Hillary Winterstrom's going to be Karen, you coming back tomorrow?
I am.
All right.
Wow.
Woo-hoo. And Mike Dillon Jr., that's City Life. And I got one comment from Marty Laurie. And he asked this question, do we really need 3 assistant city manager? Is the guy that incompetent he needs 3 assistants?
I guess.
Okay.
Wow.
Time is short. We got 90 seconds.
So
Thank you for the banana nut bread,
It was
Karen.
out of this
yeah,
world.
that was
It
excellent.
was out of this world.
Can we bring up on why we're driving so many businesses away from a subject next week if you come back?
Sure.
Counselor? I mean, I'm concerned as a taxpayer that every time I go to the news or online, there's another business shutting down in the city. Are we getting to a point where people are looking at Lowell and saying, guess what? I'm not getting what I want here, and I'm moving away where the offer is cheaper and better?
I don't know. We do have, so just in a couple of seconds, and the piece of good news, so we did have recently AVED Electronics moved back to the city, and they're also expanding their footprint. So they have over 100 employees, and they're adding more, and the vast majority of those employees actually live in the city, and they didn't even get a tax break to come here. So I do think there is some bad, but there is also a decent amount of good happening.
Well, good
too.
to
So
hear.
I think we got to
Right.
balance that.
Well, we'll be watching you tonight.
Yeah.
I'm
Time
sure
to say
I'm gonna
goodbye,
get
Good luck,
kids.
Sean.
All right, have a
Adios,
good
guys.
day.
See you early. See you
Yeah,
tomorrow.
if you don't want your house burned down and you don't have home insurance, it's probably a good thing to show up for the meeting tonight.
You better have homeowners insurance.